We're here in London, England for a special presentation of SiliconANGLE.com's exclusive coverage of the EMC Megalaunch, a global phenomenon of the world of cloud computing and big data. Dave, it's a cloudy day in London. We're here in Trafalgar Square for the big Megalaunch for EMC. They're in New York City, they're in London, big global presence. What do you think about the cloudy day here in London?
Well, it is a cloudy day, and I feel like if London were sunny, it would be even more crowded. So let's start by taking a look at what Joe Tucci has to say about big data.
What does big data mean to customers, in your view?
Well, the best way to talk about big data is to give examples, because it's a new term. There wasn't kind of a you go look up big data in a dictionary. I don't think you get a definition, but to kind of by example, big data would be the mass amount of data that an oil company, geoseismic data would accumulate when it's exploring for new sources of oil, new wells, right? This would be data that the healthcare industry generates in packs for MRI and future tests that'll be done non-invasively. This is data that supports the rendering of video and 3D movies and things that take up huge amounts of information. So those are like several examples. There's many, many more. The big thing to think of is this is kind of petabyte scale, almost from the start, and it's going to grow in huge chunks to multi petabytes. And how do you handle that, manage that, store that differently, more economically, more efficiently? But it's different kinds of data. It's not made to be kind of processed in a transaction with so many IOs per second. That's not the way you think about this data. So it has different texture to it, and we've done both on the Atmos side organically and the acquisition of Isilon have two best technologies to address that new phenomenon.
Right?
And Greenplum does analytics on big data.
Yeah.
So
it's like you're surrounding, you're circling the wagons here and really going after that.
We think we see something, and that's what winning is all about, is recognizing something first.
All right, Joe Tucci, we're here at the analyst meeting. Thanks a lot for spending some time with us.
Good to see you.
Appreciate it. Nice to see you. All right, that was Joe Tucci, and he just left the analyst call and talked a little bit about the direction of EMC. He was talking about where EMC has come in the last several years. He joined EMC in 2002. The company was a $2 billion company. $5.2 billion company. And now the consensus from analysts is EMC will be a $17 billion company. And he talked about how it's changed from basically a storage company. EMC's revenue is well over 50% from storage, and how that changed in terms of becoming information management, and then information lifecycle management, bringing on more software, and then information infrastructure, and now the journey to the private cloud. And the key to EMC's strategy is obviously VMware. EMC owns VMware. It maintains an 80% ownership in VMware. He talked about that as a key part of the strategy. He talked about the waves of information technology. We've seen from mainframe to PC to internet, and now we're seeing the journey to the private cloud and the journey to the cloud computing era. And Joe Tucci's premise is that will bring new players. It always has. Every time we've seen these waves, it's brought new players, new leaders, and he intends to make EMC and VMware one of them. This is Dave Vellante reporting from the Sheraton in New York City and Manhattan.
We're here in London, England. I'm John Furrier with SiliconANGLE.com and our exclusive coverage of EMC's Megalaunch, a record-setting 41 new product announcements, all the top executives from the CEO Joe Tucci to President Pat Gelsinger, President Howard Elias, VCE CEO Michael Capellas. Everyone was there. It was a really amazing event. And in London in particular, we had a chance to sit down with a lot of the executives. We had a lot of highlights. So let's look at some highlights, Dave, and look at the show.
Yeah, John, I've been looking at storage announcements since the mid-1980s, and I can say this is the biggest one I've ever seen. So, yes, let's go to some of the highlights.
Today in Europe is the largest tape ball ever, and it's a Guinness Book of World Records. It's officially at a plaque and everything.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It's a pleasure to be here and welcomed on behalf of Guinness World Records. Now, as I'm sure you're aware, I'm here to officially adjudicate the largest ball of magnetic tape. I'd like to take this opportunity to inform you that this record attempt is the first of its kind and has never been achieved before, as I'm sure you can imagine. Therefore, proving that Guinness World Records are always striving for innovative ways to move forward in record breaking, and it's wonderful to team up with EMC today to break the mould.
Thank you very much.
So on that note, I can now confirm that the largest ball of magnetic tape measures 2.1 meters in width and 2.03 meters in height and weighs an astonishing 580 kilograms, making it a brand new Guinness World Record.
Thank you.
Congratulations. Congratulations.
Thank you, Teresa.
We're here at the record-breaking EMC Megalaunch with Edward Burton, who was on stage demoing virtualization, software technologies, and a bit that was called So Easy a fifth grader could do. But you're not in fifth grade, you're actually in fourth grade, right?
Yes. I think it's really cool.
What was the coolest thing about it?
My part.
You don't like the motorcycles?
I like that.
That was kind of cool, wasn't it?
Bubba Blackwell has even bested his childhood hero, breaking many of Evel Knievel's records. Here he goes! Bubba Blackwell makes it! Bubba Blackwell has set a new world record over virtual storage jump. Incredible! Absolutely incredible, Craig. Absolutely incredible. Bubba Blackwell. That's the consummate jumping we're looking for. Look at this jump, folks. Bubba Blackwell.
I'm at the New York City Megalaunch from EMC, record-breaking everything, 41 new product announcements, 26 people in a Mini Cooper, massive flare, New York City, Times Square, great event, huge. Joe Tucci, Pat Gelsinger, the man behind it is Jeremy Burton, the CMO. Jeremy, congratulations on a great event. You guys pulled out all the stops. You're up in your game big time now here at EMC.
Yeah, well, look, you know, we're looking out to next year, and we're creeping up on 20 billion, and hey, it's about time we started acting like one, so this was a foretaste of things to come.
Yeah. To show you that we can do this, we have the internationally renowned dance companies. People are incredible, great people, and this is Andy, by the way. Say hello, Andy. They are Parabolas. Okay, you guys, take it away. Here we go. Love this music. There's three in the trunk. There's three in the trunk, everyone. I think a little encouragement. Come on, you guys. Give them a little encouragement. Come on, come on, come on. We can do this. We can do this. Once again, feel free to come a little closer. A little closer. Yes, please. Come on down. And here we go. Nine in the back seat. So there we go. We have 3 and 9. That's carry the 1, bring down 2. That's 12. Barnum Bailey couldn't do that. That's the circus people, for those who don't know what I'm talking about. Exactly. Come on, come on, come on. This is incredible. This is incredible. There. Now the fish have to be there for 5 seconds. Gotta close the door. Watch your toe, watch your toe. Watch your toe, watch your toe. Come on, you guys. Come on. Well, hold on. There. Count it. sure that there's still 26. No one's stuck in there. Everyone out? Let's do it for Parabolas, everybody! 26 people! We stand, come on again. And to make it official, go ahead, take it away.
Guinness World Records is the superlative authority on record-breaking achievements and has documented the most sensational feats from around the globe for more than 50 years. And today is no different, as I'm very pleased to present this official Guinness World Certificate to EMC and Parabolas for setting a brand new record. Congratulations.
So now I just got to tell you guys that we did tempt this a couple weeks ago, and we actually did it. And on Wednesday, you'll be able to see the video on YouTube and EMC.com. So once again, applause for Parabolas. Please clap for Parabolas. Danny the Adjudicator, clap for him. Clap for Danny the Adjudicator with the Guinness World Record. And me, I'm Wally Collins. Clap for me because I need the applause. See you guys later.
Well, thank you. So, from a guy who can barely touch his toes,
SiliconANGLE's continuous coverage of the EMC Megalaunch. Dave Vellante and I, John Furrier, in London, England, for the Megalaunch. And great international perspective. London is a very historic town, Dave. A lot of history, a lot of legacy, but yet modernized. You got great mobility. And we heard from EMC in New York City, Howard Elias, who has to deal with these enterprises and legacy infrastructure.
Yeah, John, it's like a giant old Boston here, and Boston's already old. And Howard Elias runs the services business at EMC, and he talked a lot about cloud and private clouds and bringing modern IT as a service to the CIO work that EMC is doing. So let's take a listen to what he has to say.
You talked about making EMC the platform of choice for the service providers who share your vision.
Yes.
What do you mean by that last part?
Well, so, what we're really hearing from customers is they want the choice, agility, and flexibility, and ultimately control about where they put their applications and the ability to move that application workload and data around, right? They might put it in their own internal data center. They might find a service provider that offers better value or a piece of functionality that they like, but then maybe they want to move it to a different one. So it's this whole notion of portability as part of that flexibility, control, and choice. And so what we want to do is help enable a set of service providers to deliver on that vision. We call that the hybrid cloud. Customers being able to put a private cloud in their data center, have a choice of multiple public clouds, but public clouds that have a compatible management security framework where they can actually move those applications around and not be in a public cloud environment that once you put the data in there, you can never get it back out. And so that's really what customers want.
The Roach Motel scenario, I suppose. The Hotel California. Sorry, Roach Motel is my term, not yours. But so now Joe Tucci said this morning the number one question he gets is, how come your storage isn't as cheap as Amazon's? And I thought he had an interesting answer, and I would like to get your take on that. Why is that?
Well, the bottom line is, most of our customers' IT shops today have just grown too complex. Too many different architectures, too many different types of technologies, trying to be all integrated. You look at some of these newer service providers and especially some of the public cloud, like Amazon, they have just based it on one architecture. It's x86, it's very simple, but also the service levels you get out of somebody like an Amazon is, well, it'll be this and I'll do my best. So to be fair, part of the complexity that our customers have in their IT shops is because they've worked for years and years, in some cases decades, to get to 5 nines availability and reliability and data integrity, and these systems are robust and they don't go down. Well, this is a new world now. So the fact is that service levels are different, the technology is much more standardized and common, and so what we need to do is help our customers get to that end result. But if they find some compatible service providers that are able to do it better, faster, cheaper, then we'll help them get there too.
Now, changes in what was known as Acadia, it's now VCE. Bring us up to date. How's that all going? And talk about those changes a little bit.
Yeah, so VCE is a little over a year since we've announced it. We started with the premise that converged infrastructure is something that customers would become more and more interested, not wanting to deal with every knob and dial of the plumbing, but have compute, network storage, pre-engineered, integrated, optimized, working together for a large amount of virtual machine types of workloads. We called that our V-Block infrastructure package. We thought in the early days that customers would want to have a whole bunch of services around it. Fact of the matter is, a year later, customers are just buying the V-Blocks by themselves, either integrating themselves or using either EMC services or Cisco services, or mostly partner services to deliver that capability. The demand has just exploded. Customers have shown huge amount of interest, and more customers and service providers are actually basing their private cloud infrastructures on vBlock.
So your service providers must love that change, right? You're basically saying, hey, go to them for the service.
And we're not going to compete.
We're not going to compete. So, well, then my last question, which I guess you just answered, is do you see yourselves going out someday and buying a services company like Dell bought Perot?
We're a technology company, first and foremost. Services to us is a means to an end. It is to help our customers get the maximum use out of our technology. We are an enabler. We're an enabler to our customers. We're an enabler to our partners. It is our intent to continue to invest very heavily and be the best technology company in helping customers on their journey to the cloud, not compete with them.
Excellent. Howard Elias, thanks for spending some time with us. We really appreciate it.
Thank you.
I'm John Furrier with SiliconAngle.com. It's a continuous coverage exclusive of the EMC Megalaunch in London. We are here. We got Big Ben behind us. We're on the river. A lot of sightseeing, a lot of executive briefings. We're here getting the scene on Europe. But really an impressive event from EMC's Megalaunch. And let's go hear from Jeremy Burton, who's the Chief Marketing Officer of EMC, who's transforming that company into a big global brand and evolving them from storage to a major infrastructure player. Let's go hear from Jeremy Burton on the stage in New York City right now. We're here at SiliconAngle.com at the New York City Megalaunch event from EMC. Record-breaking everything, 41 new product announcements, 26 people in a Mini Cooper, massive flare, New York City, Times Square, great event, huge. Joe Tucci, Pat Gelsinger, the man behind it is Jeremy Burton, the CMO. Jeremy, congratulations on a great event. You guys pulled out all the stops. You're up on your game big time now here at EMC.
Yeah, well, look, we're looking out to next year, and we're creeping up on 20 billion, and hey, it's about time we started acting like one. So this was a foretaste of things to come.
Good mix of multimedia, great messaging. You guys pounding home the message, breaking records. Is that going to be a theme for the whole year? We're going to see more stuff around record breaking?
Absolutely. What we do after we've completed the Mega Launch, well, we're going to London tomorrow. We start with our Mega Tour. We have a fleet of about 21 Mini Coopers that are going to be doing 108 partner kickoffs around the world, and the idea is to take this show on the road.
We've talked in the past at the Cube events about marketing and your new role here at EMC, and you guys are introducing basically a full portfolio of products. You're going after new markets. Obviously you can channel business with the entry level products. All the executives are on board. How do you pull that together? I mean, Joe's in the car, he's in the skits, he's in the videos. How is this all coming together, and what's your roadmap for the next year?
I'm a big believer that we as the EMC team are empowered. I think Joe does a great job creating an environment where we can innovate, but we can also get together as a team, get on the same page, and rally. And we have that environment at EMC, and that's why you see the consistency of message. I mean, he creates the environment for I think his exec team to thrive.
Talk about the customers that are here. You guys obviously doing at the Equitable, big client, big house for tech. They're known for their tech. Talk about the customer presence here and how you've weaved them into the whole story.
Yeah, big customer presence. We tried to get about a third of the house full of customers and about a third of partners, which are also very important for us today. And the thing about having a big customer presence and some of the biggest of the big, I was just talking to the guy from Pfizer earlier, they see the big data problem. And we've got we can address that problem. If you like the small businesses, they've got a small data problem, and we can address that too at an affordable price. And so the customers, I think, seeing the array of products that we had, something of interest, and the channel partners who are going to go sell to that low end, they do too.
You guys aren't holding back anything on the marketing side. Obviously, you guys got some acquisitions. Historically, some really good ones. You got Data Domain, Greenplum, and now Isilon. You guys are just plugging them right in. No conflict at all. Just on the branding side, just plugging them right in. How does that work out for you?
Well, it works well because we've got our differentiations are breadth, right? So we've got our VNX and VMAX product lines for enterprise data. The whole new world of big data has got a different design point, and so Isilon fits right in there. And look, you got a hint of Isilon today, but we've not even got going with Isilon yet. So watch this space.
What's your vision for the next step evolution for the EMC brand? Obviously, you guys are coming out of the tech business where your leadership is strong. You now have an entry level. You're going after a price point under $10K. You certainly put the heat on the competition. But you guys are going to be a big brand. You've got a lot of breadth. You own VMware. How are you guys going to tie all that together? And what's next for EMC?
It's pretty simple. 3 words: cloud meets big data. 4 words. I mean, you talked last year about cloud and the journey to the cloud. That's a huge part of our story, continues to be a huge part of our story, and then this new world of big data. And what you see really is EMC sitting at that intersection point between cloud and big data.
Talk about the record breakings here. I mean, obviously you have the Mini Cooper, 26 people in a Mini Cooper. You had the video of the motorcycle jumping over. How many VMAX drives systems?
40, I think.
40 VMAX drives. What other records are you guys touting here that are kind of interesting and notable?
Well, we didn't show them here today, but out in the UK, we are building a monument to tape. We think it's really, it's sad. It's the death of tape. So we built, if you like, a monument or an obelisk. We have the world's biggest tape ball. It's about, because it's in Europe, it's 1.6 meters in diameter. So we'll be in the Guinness Book of World Records for that. And also out in Singapore yesterday, they broke the world record for breaking the most vinyl records. So they had a martial arts team in Singapore break 50 vinyl records in 30 seconds, so to illustrate the speed. So we had a lot of fun, not just here in New York, but around the world.
So what'd you think of Pat Gelsinger and Joe Tucci's performance today? Obviously, they're up on stage. These are tech geeks, executives. I mean, they played well with the theme. There's a lot of sizzle out there. You did a great job.
Yeah.
There was really a lot of energy. It wasn't goofy. It was really clever and smart. So what'd you think of their performance?
I thought they were dynamite. Joe, he keeps saying he's only got a few more years left, but I hope he keeps going a lot longer. I thought he was dynamite. And the tough thing with Pat is he's got a lot to cover. He's got to keep it moving and keep it interesting for the audience. And I thought he did a fantastic job of weaving in the video content as well as the live stunts. And sometimes it's a little bit disoriented when all that stuff's going on stage, but I thought he nailed it. I thought he did fantastic.
Congratulations. Everything's unified here at EMC. The whole team is unified. The messaging's tight. A lot of fun. Great event. Congratulations. We're here at Jeremy Burton, SiliconAngle.com. He's the man behind the curtain. Actually out on stage today, put this whole deal together. Record-breaking event, Megalaunch in New York City, off to London and Singapore.
London, we leave 1 o'clock this afternoon, head off to London. Yeah, do the same thing again.
Congratulations.
Right, thanks.
We're here in London, England for a SiliconANGLE exclusive coverage of the EMC Megalaunch. I'm here with Dave Vellante, my partner and wingman on the Cube. London, England is the international location for EMC's Megalaunch. We had a chance to sit down with Pat Gelsinger on stage after the London launch, and Pat talked about EMC's vision, and he really is taking over the products as the president of EMC, and really showed a lot of life up there on stage, and really has a great message for EMC.
I thought Pat was really on point. He's putting his fingerprint on the EMC product strategy. Obviously, a lot of it was underway. A lot of Intel, no surprise there. Pat, big executive coming from Intel, and how that is really driving the strategy of EMC's platform. But he also talked a lot about where EMC is headed. Let's listen to what Pat Gelsinger has to say.
We're here with Pat Gelsinger with SiliconANGLE's exclusive coverage of the Megalaunch in London. A final question for you, Pat. Obviously, Dave and I are very bullish on EMC. You guys are great to us and doing the interviews and sharing with us what you're doing. But you're in a massively growing market. The cloud is changing the game. You got mobility, all things sitting on top of cloud, and you guys own VMware. Can you simplify the story for EMC? I mean, a lot of folks out there on Wall Street now, they're kind of confused. Mm-hmm. Not confused about EMC, just it's a whole new trend. Mm-hmm. How would you simplify this massive sea change that's going on?
Mm-hmm. Well, we've broken, what we're trying to do is help IT build clouds. We call those private clouds. We're also trying to take the same technologies to enable service providers. We call those public clouds. And we want to make them work together. We call that hybrid. Some of this, some of that. And we're finding that message resonates with IT. Underneath that, we're doing 3 things. We are transforming their IT infrastructure. We're delivering a next-generation middleware and application environment, and we're transforming the user experience to move from devices to users, right? That's what EMC is about. We're doing it for existing environments and applications, as well as the new big data and emerging application environments as well. And that's sort of the elevator pitch of what EMC is about.
All with virtualization kind of sitting underneath it and powering all that software.
You know, it is that magic layer in the middle that really enables us to transform the infrastructure and to create the next generation middleware and developer framework, to bolt up the old applications and move them to new infrastructure, as well as enable a next generation application and development environment as well. It's the key.
Congratulations on a great, stellar launch, you guys. Very clever, very entertaining, very substantive. We're here with Pat Gelsinger, who's the president of the products at EMC, always a friend and guest on theCUBE. Thank you so much. We're here in London, England. I'm John Furrier with SiliconAngle.com's exclusive coverage of EMC's Megalaunch, which was in New York City and London. I'm here with Dave Vellante, who's the founder of Wikibon, big premier research firm out of Massachusetts. Dave, we heard from EMC, big announcement, big branding. Jeremy Burton was talking about the big brands, but recently they've had a lot of acquisitions, and Isilon was a big name.
Yeah, and we heard from Suraj Patel about Isilon. We talked a little bit about big data, so let's listen to what he has to say about Isilon and EMC.
Okay, so we're here with Sujal Patel, who is the CEO, and are you a founder of Isilon?
Yes.
Is that right? All right. So congratulations, first of all, on the acquisition. Tremendous story. I mean, any storage companies left that are independent? I mean, I think they're all,
I don't think there are any.
But I was just listening to your presentation to the analyst community. Thank you for that. I want to talk about big data. Can you talk about what big data means to customers and how things are changing?
So, when we look at the definition of big data, we've developed a working definition that is data sets or information that have scaled to the point where, because of the amount of data or the need in terms of timeliness, or because of the distribution of that data or how it's presented in separate silos, because of one of those reasons or many of those reasons, there's a need for a new storage architecture that can handle it. And so this might be large stores of unstructured data or digital content or media or any sort of large data set that requires a new architecture.
Okay, so we need a new architecture because the existing architectures can't handle the volumes of data, is that right?
Well, it could be either volume or it could be performance, right? There's two major trends that are going on in the data center today. One is that the rate of data growth is far outpacing areal density increases in disk drives, which means that we have a need for applications to spread out across a lot more hardware than before. That requires a new architecture. Second is that the performance of Intel servers is exceeding Moore's law, and applications are leveraging that with technologies like virtualization and newer applications based on clustered computing. Well, if you've got a scale and a performance level that's beyond what you can do with the traditional architecture, you've got to move to what we call these scale-out architectures today.
Now, when you started Isilon, you said 10% of the data that was out there was unstructured, 90% structured, and now it's almost completely flipped. I think it's 75% is what you said.
Yeah.
So what led you to that conclusion? How did you see that? What was your telescope saying?
It's interesting. So your numbers are absolutely right. So when we started Isilon, 10% of data was file, 90% was block. That was 2001. But 5 years prior to Isilon, I spent time at a company called Real Networks. They were the pioneer of streaming media on the internet. Right. And what we saw with the growth of media on the internet was the very beginning of what we knew was going to be a giant problem for all enterprises. And that problem played out a little bit faster, a little bit slower, but it played out just about like we thought it would. In 2008, data split just about 50-50 file and block. By 2012, it's going to be 80-20, file majority, block minority. And some point near the end of this decade, it's probable that even the storage dollars in terms of revenue will shift predominantly towards file as opposed to block.
So what do you think that means in terms of sort of the next wave? Is it now about getting value out of all that data? Is that what big part of what the big data is about, or is there another sort of disruptive force that you're seeing?
Well, you're absolutely right. It is about getting value, right? Why have data if you can't analyze it for business value, if you can't distribute it, if it's media, if you can't distribute it and get entertainment value out of it? What good is it if it doesn't enable new innovations and new products to reach the marketplace? And that's really the goal, why customers have this big data.
Sujal Patel, blockbuster acquisition in the storage business. Congratulations. Thanks for spending some time with SiliconANGLE and Wikibon community.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Yep.
All right, so that was Sujal Patel from Isilon, and really appreciate you coming on. Thank you very much.
Thanks.
And just to sort of summarize what we heard in there, Isilon is the company that started out really trying to unify file systems, right? The NetApp sort of came on the scene and was big in terms of providing, what I sometimes call chiclet filers, right? Little small filers, and of course NetApp's, begun to scale, but putting together, little filers to big filers and trying to scale that up. Well, Isilon had a different vision. They said, what if we create a global namespace and a clustered file system and then allow the customer and the application to see a single global namespace, a single file system, if in fact that's what they want. Put 1 billion files in that single file system if they want, or maybe put 100 terabyte chunks of files in that. And that kind of flexibility is what made Isilon such a successful company. They did an IPO, and then with all the acquisition fever that went on, it's like an NFL on draft day. Somebody takes the first guard, and then the second one goes, and the next one goes. So Isilon was an asset that EMC saw as very scarce. There aren't a lot of companies that can create this type of global file system. And aren't a lot of companies that are as successful, in startup mode as Isilon. So EMC picked up that acquisition or that asset for about $2 billion, which a lot of people felt is very expensive. But if you look at some of the other acquisitions that have been going on, like 3PAR, we saw a big run up there. You saw the big run up on Data Domain a couple of years ago. Probably a very interesting part of EMC's growth strategy going forward. So Isilon, still unclear how exactly they're going to organize that within EMC, but clearly we're talking about the big data trend, and there's some new assets inside of EMC that are supporting that trend. Isilon is one, Greenplum is another, and we're starting to see Atmos come back. We heard a little bit about the Hadoop movement today, and Hadoop and Atmos kind of fit together because that infrastructure is a distributed infrastructure. Hadoop is, remember, all about bringing the code to the data, which is distributed over the network, as opposed to trying to bring the data through a pipe into a data temple, into a big box, okay? So that's really where Atmos fits. So we're starting to see EMC put a few of the pieces of the puzzle together, and we're going to squint through that and look for more. This is Dave Vellante reporting from the Sheraton in Manhattan. Thanks for watching.
We're here in London, England. I'm John Furrier with SiliconANGLE.com's continuous coverage of the EMC Megalaunch, where we're on a global scale. New York City flew out to London. We're here at the Buckingham Palace, where royalty is in there doing deals, making heads of state decisions. But more importantly, it's the changing of the guards. We see the signs as changing of the guard, and what better purpose than to talk about the changing of the guard in technology. EMC and VMware are the two giants to be in technology. EMC owns VMware, the leader in virtualization, and it's a new guard. And technology is seeing a major shift. EMC's Megalaunch announcement talks about cloud computing, with virtualization being the key technology to that, and it really is a changing of the guard. And EMC and VMware represent the new Wintel. Paul Maritz, ex-Microsoft, Pat Gelsinger, ex-Intel executives, heading up the charge, all reporting to Joe Tucci, arguably the CEO of the year already in 2011. Great team, and looking for some great technology. So let's go to Michael Capellas, who's part of that royalty with the VCE joint venture with EMC, VMware, and Cisco.
I'm John Furrier with SiliconANGLE. We're here at the EMC Megalaunch
analyst briefing with Michael Capellas with VCE. Just gave the briefing to the analysts. VCE's changed. You guys are listening to customers. Tell us what's changed. You mentioned service providers are the new channel. You guys are enabling that. So give us the quick update on VCE and what's the big change you were just talking about.
Well, there's a couple of things we've done. First place is one of the big changes is that customer acceptance has just been absolutely astounding. But we've also taken a look at our model, and one of the things we feel very strongly about is we're here to actually enable our partners and our customers. And so when we first started this kind of the journey, we said, well, we will have a service component, and we'll be able to do build order transfer to help some of our customers. In talking to our partners, it became clear that there was at least some view that we were competing. So to be very clear, we are here to provide core technology, next-generation converged infrastructure, and not to offer service capacity, but to make that as an enablement for both our service provider partners and our other service partners so that we are not competing with them, but instead we're enabling, and we are out of the service business.
And since then, the results have been pretty staggering.
Yeah, particularly given the long and really just, incredible relationship that we've had with the channel. It was really important to us to send a quite specific message that we were here to help them extend their business, and quite frankly, I think it created more confusion. It was probably worse. So again, that is absolutely the message, and we've had really a lot of success. We're now up to 120 plus partners, and so that's gone fairly well.
And great pipeline. You know the channel business. You've been there, done that. You've lived many lives in the tech business. You've seen the movies over and over again. In particular, this one, the channel conflict resolved. VCE's booming. Yep. You guys are doing great.
That's right. And so the Acadia name, we have now sort of retired it. VCE is the delivery of the solutions. We will provide to our partners, the ability to have solution centers and help them train their people and offer expert opinion, but we will not be taking service modules directly.
You had mentioned also in your life you've seen a lot of inflection points, and you talk about 18-month kind of big movements. Blades you mentioned, and other revolutions. Cloud people are talking about is kind of hypish, and there are some outrageous valuations out there in some of these internet companies. Is it real? And just to share with the folks here on camera what you said in there about the 18-month surge you're going to see.
Yeah, there's a lot of question about is the cloud, is it real, what it really is. And so I've always said if I go back through time is when you see major inflection points in technology, it's normally about an 18-month adoption cycle. We saw that with Blades. And in 18 months, that was a $6 to $10 billion business. We saw it with IP networks, and one of the reasons why I sort of look and say the cloud is the cloud really started with the adoption of IP networks, or as I described it, you didn't have to know or care where the underlying infrastructure of a network was. You wrote to a network level, the customer was able to roll that out, new applications developed, and they didn't have to know or care where the physical infrastructure is. That moved out to the adoption of x86 architecture for superb price performance points. Networks started to merge, and so then you thought you didn't have to know or care where the network was. You didn't know or care whether it was voice, data, or video. And what this next generation is taking that delivery model to the next by saying, on the compute, which includes obviously storage and network performance, you don't have to know or care where the physical infrastructure is, which saves customers a lot of time and really aids application deployment.
We're here with Michael Capellas, legend in the tech community. He's been around the block, knows the business, really talking about converged infrastructure, massive growth, running VCE, which is a joint venture between Cisco, VMware, EMC, and now Intel. Congratulations on all your success. Thanks so much.
Thank you. Great to be here.
I'm John Furrier with SiliconAngle.com's exclusive coverage of EMC's Megalaunch. We're here in London, England. I'm here with Dave Vellante, and we've been covering EMC's big launch in New York City and in London, England. We're here at Buckingham Palace, where royalty lives, Dave, and we're going to hear from Chuck Hollis, who arguably is the king of blogging and storage, royalty among the blogging community, or maybe self-proclaimed royalty. What do you think?
Well, I think Chuck is actually as big as Howard Stern when it comes to blogging. So let's go to Chuck Hollis. We got an interview segment with him. Chuck's got some great perspective, so here he is.
This is Dave Vellante, the Wikibon Project, here with SiliconAngle's coverage of the EMC Megalaunch. This is day -1. This is the day before the event. And there's a big analyst meeting here today. There must be, 60 analysts or so. And I'm here right now with Chuck Hollis. Hey, Chuck, how you doing?
Hey, good to see you.
It's great to see you.
Always good to see you at an EMC event.
I didn't know you were going to be here. I understand you're going to be in London, too. So
all good.
We've got the entourage, and we're following this like a blanket, as we usually do
yep.
in SiliconAngle, as you know. So a lot of analysts in there. I don't know, like I say, 60 or 70.
Big room full.
We heard Tucci this morning. We heard Gelsinger, and we're going to hear a bunch of customers
Sujal
this afternoon.
we heard from.
Sujal. We had Sujal on the cube. So I want to talk about big data.
So do I.
All right, great. So tell us, in your excellent style, boil it down for us, simplify us. What does big data mean for customers?
Big data is a change of perspective, at least in my mind, from lots of data as a problem to lots of data as an opportunity. As costs go down, as capacities go up, we're finding that more and more people realize, hey, I can take enormous amounts of information, either create value, cure cancer, something I couldn't do before. At its essence, it's looking like a different style of IT, about creating value from information as opposed to just keeping it around and trying to reduce costs.
Yes, so the problem meaning it's always about, I got so much data up and to the right, I can't manage this stuff. And you're saying there's going to be a bit flip here, where we start to look at data as an opportunity.
We're starting to meet people who see a petabyte of data as a good thing, not as a problem to be overcome. Traditional IT is all about using resources more efficiently, less storage, less compute, kind of rationing things. We're seeing these enormous projects, whether they be in media, genomics, pick your favorite vertical, where how much data can I collect, process, and create new value from becomes kind of the new mandate rather than just making it a standard IT type.
So EMC has some pieces of the puzzle, right? You picked up Isilon, you picked up Greenplum. You got Atmos. Okay, so talk about how the pieces fit together. Maybe what you have, what's missing, who are you going to buy next to fill in that gap.
I think it all starts for us, with the information itself, and in a very traditional sense, that's storage. So when you look at how Isilon is built, it's a very different kind of scale-out NAS than anything that we've had in our portfolio. When we look how Atmos is built with object storage, very different architectural concepts than anything we've ever seen in the rest of our portfolio. On top of that, what do you do with the data? Greenplum for analytics, parts of our IIG portfolio and Documentum around creating richness out of it. We have a lot of opportunity, I think, as we get into these customer engagements, building fuller and fuller stacks, from everything from the information management layer to the applications and the use cases, which typically are on mobile devices these days.
So what's the fit between big data and cloud?
It's kind of funny. Big data usually requires big compute, and the two tend to go together. When you have one of these large repositories of information, you can't predict all the time how it's going to be used on any given day. So not always, but a lot of the time, people who are interested in big data also want to have a cloud consumption model to go with it, whether that be a private cloud, a public cloud, or some combination of both.
All right, we're here with Chuck Hollis at the EMC Analyst event. We'll be covering this throughout the week and beyond. This is Dave Vellante. Thanks for watching.
I'm John Furrier. We're here in London, England with Dave Vellante, founder of Wikibon.org, and we're talking about EMC's exclusive coverage of the Megalaunch in New York City and London, and we heard from customers from EMC talking about the value of the EMC platform, and the big emphasis was big data. We heard from Marco Pacelli, who's the CEO of ClickFox, a 5-time entrepreneur, very successful, has his hands on the pulse, but more importantly, around big data, which is the hottest trend in technology, there are some real proof points.
The point that Marco was making, that it's not just about storage, that unless, John, you have an application to turn that data into context, you don't have value. So let's listen to what Marco had to say. We're here in New York City at the Sheraton Hotel, and we've got Marco Pacelli on here. Hey, Marco, how you doing? Great to see you again.
New Year.
Thanks for coming on.
Thank you.
It's good to have you back on this is the roving cube. You were in Marlboro, right. So we're here at the EMC Analyst event today. You're about to go on the customer panel. A lot of themes around big data, and I'd like to get your take, because you're in the center of all this. What's big data mean to customers?
Well, to be honest, Dave, unless you have the applications that are going to utilize this big data, it's just more storage, and more use of the data is where it's got to go. I mean, big data is the game, but you got to be able to leverage the value of the data. That means pull it out faster and make sense out of it and have applications that utilize it. Otherwise, it's just more storage.
So can you talk a little bit about how your customers are transforming their business using these applications and all this data?
Yeah, the name of the game is leveraging big data and tying it together and analyzing it and finding the needle in the haystacks and determining how that drives your business negatively and positively in a real-time fashion. So obviously, the more processing power, the quicker speed of extracting the data and analyzing it's important. But just storing big data and having more data really has no sense.
So we're talking about, historically in the storage business, data has been a real negative. Oh, I got so much data, it's a real problem. Right. And it sounds like companies like ClickFox are flipping that mindset into making it an opportunity. So ClickFox, we had you in the Cube in Marlboro. You talked about how you guys do the end-to-end customer experience and actually provide visibility like no other. Right. Just briefly update us on what you guys are doing and what's new since we last talked.
So what we're doing is we're tying the data together across all the systems. and all the unstructured data together to make it a single view of the entire experience a product or customer has. While we do that, we analyze it real time to determine the effects this data has on your business. And where we see this going in the future is real-time decision support systems, whereby as a client, a customer, a product experiences interactions, the treatment plans and the processing plans and the marketing plans and campaign plans you have for these type of clients and products change dynamically. So in other words, every client gets a personal touch or the feel of a personal touch based on the data. That's the direction we see this going. So data is critical. Social networks has taken data to 10 times what it used to be now. But if you don't tie it together, there's really no use of it.
So now you're the CEO of a technology company, okay? But IT people aren't really driving this transformation in your customer. You don't sell to IT people, do you?
Business owners.
Okay, so
The owner of the
typical customer.
The owner, the vice president of card services, senior vice president of retail, chief marketing officers, retail banking, deposit banking, customer service, client services. People that own the client, people that want to understand, why am I not getting customer sat the way it is supposed to be getting it? What are we doing wrong with the customers? Why are my costs going up? Why am I not understanding the 5, 10, 20, 100 million clients I have and what they want to do and what they don't like that we do? And, for years, people have looked at just a client interaction with an agent as having the information for them or running static reports off of big data. Well, it's a little late for that. You can't wait 90 days to get an answer. You want the answer today to be competitive.
Yeah, so it's not about getting a 10% better storage utilization. It's about really driving the business and driving revenue.
Yes, absolutely.
So, okay, well, this is Marco Pacelli with Dave Vellante, and thanks very much for coming on. Appreciate it. See you soon.
I'm John Furrier with SiliconAngle.com. We're here in London, England for exclusive coverage of the EMC Megalaunch, where we heard from some of EMC's top customers around this revolutionary record-breaking announcement. 41 new product announcements, breaking records, new markets they're entering into. Dave, a lot of customers were there, and they had a lot of perspectives.
Yeah, a lot of vision from EMC, a lot of big themes. Let's hear the customers in terms of where they're at, in terms of their adoption on the journey to the private cloud. Hi, this is Dave Vellante. I'm here with Bruce Chanelli of TTX, and you are the CIO, correct?
Yes.
And so tell us a little bit about TTX.
TTX is the largest privately owned owner of rail cars, lessor in the United States. We have approximately 200,000 platforms, and we service North America customers in that area.
So you were telling us yesterday a little bit about your virtualized environment, and you've been going on this so-called journey to the private cloud. Just tell us a little bit about where you came from and where you are today.
Well, I think that in the beginning, before it was called a private cloud, we started investing in virtualization more by necessity and realizing that our in an application transformation that we just if we built out servers traditionally, they just wouldn't fit in the data centers that we had, and would have been quite a big investment to expand those. So we started down or started virtualizing pretty much that path that you see on everybody's charts. First hitting the IT applications, and then as we built out, we just put everything else on virtual platforms, and since it worked, we kept going.
So what's on there? Is it all test and dev? You got some mission critical stuff on there?
Everything is virtualized in our new environment. If it's on our open systems platform, they are all virtualized. We're approximately 98%.
Last question is this cloud meets big data. What does that mean to you as a customer?
I think that cloud as a concept obviously has got a lot of hype associated with it. But the bottom line is that is that there is something real there in the sense that it's disassociation. We're disassociating our use of something or our consumption from its generation. So that includes storage or bandwidth or compute. So that disassociation concept is where the world's going. That's cloud meets big data.
Excellent. Bruce, thanks very much for your time. Appreciate it. Good to see you.
We're here with Tony, who's a longtime EMC partner. You've seen the transformation of EMC over the years. Now they come in with an entry level, going after new markets, the channel business. Does EMC have the juice to pull this off?
Absolutely. They have all of the solutions now that any client could need for all the technology. I mean, you look at the addition of Isilon, now they can go after all of that unstructured data in the marketplace, it's absolutely a fantastic offering. They now offer the low end, so there's not another competitor that can compete with them.
But do you think they can pull it off? I mean, EMC brand, are they strong enough where they can pull this off?
Their brand is fantastic. They have a terrific sales force. Their leadership is great. They're a terrific partner to work with. We enjoy working with them. They're going to do great with this.
What do you think of Joe Tucci and Pat Gelsinger on stage playing with the whole show here?
Fantastic. Joe's a great spokesman for the company. He's a great figurehead. And Pat just did a terrific job laying out the marketplace. They laid it out exactly the way customers look at it and exactly what customers need. And it was a fantastic play.
We're here with Tony from Fusion Storm. Thanks a lot. Appreciate your comments.
Thank you.
Hi, so it's a cloudy day in New York City, a little bit overcast, a little bit dingy.
Snowy.
And a little snowy, yeah, but it's winter here. But inside, where we're talking about cloud, it's a lot brighter in some of the record breakers. Mm-hmm. So, Bob Olwig, WWT.
Yes.
What's your first take on this EMC announcement?
Well, first of all, I want to thank EMC for inviting me up here. Fantastic event, both from the dinner last night to the fun they had this morning during the venue. What got me here, what made me most excited about this particular event is the breadth of products that were announced today, both from the refresh of every one of their product lines, basically, and then they went downstream in terms of the market applicability of their new VNXE product line. So it now hits the small to medium-sized market, which isn't really a place that we play, but I can see for a lot of other partners that makes a lot of sense. And then in terms of the cloud infrastructure announcements that were announced today, very important for us. We're a VCE partner. We're one of Cisco's largest partners in the world. So it's very relevant for us, especially the speed and simplicity of the software that they've introduced in the systems today.
Great. So Bob, when we talk about the converged network, I would think the new VNX message really helps with the unification. Unisphere and UIM, if you're talking on the V block, have really helped a lot.
Absolutely.
How have you seen convergence really changing some of the dynamics in the marketplace today?
Well, being a systems integrator, we've been all about convergence for many, many years. Right. But anytime the manufacturers like a Cisco and an EMC and VMware can get together, create the reference architectures, start enhancing their products to make the products simpler to begin with, it makes our job easier.
Great. Bob, thanks for joining us. We're here in New York City for EMC's record-breaking Megalaunch.
I'm John Furrier with SiliconAngle.com. We're here in London, England for the exclusive coverage of the EMC Megalaunch, where they announced a record-breaking 41 new products. Ton of activity, Dave. So much to talk about. We'll be talking about this for a long time.
John, it's a new era in IT. Big data meets cloud. So let's go to our wrap on stage at the EMC announcement. Well, the reality is this is a lot of legacy products here, right? The Symmetric stuff, the Ingenuity was great, all through software. The VNX bringing together two legacy platforms. VNXE, brand new, blank sheet of paper. What EMC did is they brought in Isilon into the equation to create that metaphor of big data. That's new because EMC just bought Isilon. So it's really, we're seeing the confluence of traditional enterprise data and big data and cloud.
EMC's really upping their game in terms of marketing, the positioning. I mean, they got a whole portfolio, entry-level, mid-range, high-end, across the board on big data products, backup. I mean, the competition's got to be feeling the heat.
Well, these guys are so good at marketing. They were good before Jeremy Burton came here, and this was a lot of in-your-face stuff, but a lot of fun. They had a blast with it. The whole record-breaking theme, it's gonna piss off a lot of the competition.
I mean, the heat's pretty strong. Yeah, EMC is coming out swinging.
Well, the VNXE is very interesting to me because that's a low-end product. You saw they had the price points under $10,000, going after Dell, going after NetApp, going after IBM, going after HP. What do you think NetApp's going to do? You think NetApp's going to have to cut their prices on their low-end products? Absolutely.
We're here at the New York City Equitable office, big client of EMC, in the theater, record-breaking announcement. That's the theme we're going to hear from EMC probably the whole year, record-breaking. So let's see what they do.
Well, I say, in technology, there's always the leapfrog game, right? Anybody can always say, hey, we're the fastest, we're the best. The brilliance of this announcement, in my opinion, was the marketing of it, the positioning of it, how they packaged it all, the big deal they made out of it beforehand. Everybody's talking about it. A lot of people in the competition don't like it. A lot of the blogosphere is down on it. Hey, if people are talking about it, that's good press.
They did a good job on the presentation, a lot of sizzle, but they brought some steak out here. They showed the products. Pat Gelsinger and Joe Tucci really knocking it out of the park.
Well, I was talking to a few customers in the audience. There's definitely a great reception for these products, even though it's a lot of, as what I called legacy products, now packaged together in an easy-to-use format. EMC customers love it because they don't want to switch. They like EMC. They're happy with EMC. So as long as EMC keeps moving that bar, they're going to keep those customers as long as they do a good job with them on the service side, and we know they do.
Yeah, and NetApp's going to be out there. Oh, we have leadership, and try to argue the speeds and feeds on the merits of point technologies. But EMC really knocks it out of the park on the packaging. They really simplified their software, their product portfolio. I mean, what's your angle on that?
Well, my angle is that the NetApp's a whole different ballgame, right? They're much more of a pure play storage company. They're growing faster than any company in the industry, so they can keep doing their thing for a while. At some point they probably hit a wall. EMC's a portfolio company, and the key to EMC, as we've said all along, is VMware.
And they drop it in the new acquisitions. Isilon fits beautifully. They got Greenplum for the data analytics. I mean, they got the whole package.
Well, we did a little bit of research at the end of the year, and basically EMC's core value, in other words, the value when you strip out VMware, their ownership, 80% ownership of VMware, EMC's core value actually dropped last year, which is kind of absurd when you think about it. Companies growing, throwing off a bunch of free cash flow. So what EMC's doing and has to do is buy companies that are growth companies. Data Domain, Isilon, Greenplum, huge upside potential. So they got to get the street to believe that that is a growth plan, and I think it is. Personally, I think EMC is undervalued as a stock right now.
And Joe Tucci actually just, at the analyst meeting yesterday, split it right down the middle and said, we're basically investing the same amount in R&D as we are in the acquisitions. So they're hedging. They got R&D going on, but to go speed, they go acquisitions.
Well, you got to have a combination of both. R&D is good, but it's risky. Acquisitions are, especially when you're acquiring a proven company like Data Domain or Isilon, those acquisitions aren't that risky. They're expensive, but you know what? That's a better use of cash, in my opinion, than buying back shares.
I'm thinking this is going to be a big data year for everybody. I think the big thing that's going to come out of this year is what is the definition of big data? Joe Tucci kind of simplifies it a little bit, but it's really complex. I think we're going to see a lot of definition of big data. What is big data? They bring up the notion of smart data. So what's your angle on that for the year, you think, for big data?
Well, it's not just about storage, right? You've got to have the applications on top of it, right? You've got to have the ability to, yes, store it, and yes, process it, but also analyze it and then act on it. So we got to have to see a lot more visualization technologies, and there are a lot of companies out there. We saw some at Hadoop World. So it's a big ecosystem that it's emerging. It's not just about storage.
We're here in New York City with this big data, big announcements, record-breaking everything. It's the year of big data. Dave, we'll be covering it like a blanket at siliconangle.com and wikibon.org. We're a place where all the content is out there. It's smart data. We got it. We're free. We're going to have a good time.
It's good to be here with you, John, and thanks for everybody for watching.
We're here at siliconangle.com. It's exclusive coverage of EMC's Megalaunch. We're in London, England. I'm here with Dave Vellante, my partner from wikibon.org, research analyst in the industry. We were here for the Megalaunch event in London. We also were in New York City. We had a chance to sit down with all the EMC top executives, Michael Capellas, Pat Gelsinger, Howard Elias, Joe Tucci, Isilon, Greenplum, all the top dogs of EMC. Really sat down for a one-on-one briefing, Dave, but all impressive. But Joe Tucci had a chance to sit down with us and share with us some of the things going on, both for EMC and in the marketplace. What's your angle on Joe Tucci?
You got to love Joe Tucci. He's a straight shooter. He tells it like it is, and if he says something, usually he follows through with it. So a couple things he said that really stood out to me. We talked about the Dell relationship, and he basically said flat out, look, Dell, for their reasons, they want to increase their margins, they're going to get into the storage business. That means we're going to become more competitive. Bottom line is, Dell, to us, is no longer strategic. That was pretty interesting.
I mean, I also found an interesting thing Joe Tucci said to us was about his company. So you name any other company that has the breadth of EMC, and they're doing some serious business. It's, and all the top press is covering it. They're the real deal. And he's basically like, look, we see things early. We double down on it. We saw VMware. We double down on it. We're making acquisitions. He's not afraid to put it out there and lay it out.
At one point, he said, let me speak for John Chambers and myself, which I thought was pretty bold. And he said, we do not want to compete with our service provider partners, period.
What do you think of the relationship with Cisco? I mean, he's clearly telling the world that he's very tight with Cisco. Obviously, the VCE is a joint venture with Cisco. He's pretty proud of that.
Well, so you got he and John Chambers used to work for Joe Tucci. I don't know if you knew that, but of course now John Chambers has the bigger company. So, but they're very, very close. The other thing is, a lot of people may not know this. Michael Capella sits on the board of Cisco. VCE is the joint venture between Cisco and VMware and EMC and Intel. So, yes, there are very, very close relationships there, and EMC's leveraging that.
What do you think about Joe Tucci as a CEO? I mean, obviously he is an old-school guy. He's done a great job running the business. Obviously the value is increased significantly. You say it's undervalued. We agree maybe with that. But his leadership style, I mean, he delegates. He's got his hands on the pulse. What do you think of his vision?
I think, a lot of people in Massachusetts were skeptical when Tucci came in to take over a company like EMC. He came from Wang. Wang was obviously a great company and then sort of came out of favor. But Tucci has done a phenomenal job. And obviously, his ability to see forward and make change. And, of course, VMware, right? The guy made the call, $635 million. A lot of people at the time said it was overvalued. Guess what? Probably the greatest acquisition in the history of the computer industry.
And he's got some great command, and he's also got a great leadership team. He's got Pat Gelsinger, Paul Moritz, Jeremy Burton as CMO, Howard Elias. I mean, pretty good stable of execs.
Yeah, EMC stepping up its game. It lost Donatelli. What does it do? It responds with Gelsinger. Very impressive move.
We're here in London, England, where we're on the ground on an international event with EMC. We're also covering Europe here this week. We got some meetings with some analysts. What's your take on Europe and the European scene here?
Well, it's a little different scene over here, right? I mean, the European analysts in particular, and the trade press, I think they care less about the bits and bolts of the technology. They care about more, how is the technology being applied to solve a business problem? What's that mean to the business process? What about the relationship between CIOs and the line of business? That's the European angle, much different from the U.S. angle.
U.S. being more tech-driven.
Yeah, how's that work? What's the architecture? What are the chips? And how fast does it go? Things like that.
What do you think about the overall emphasis on solutions versus technology?
Yeah, well, I think that's critical here. Now, part of that reason is because all the great European technology companies are gone and they become solution companies. So that's, their bias. But hey, it's a big part of the world over here. The EMEA region, it's critical. And, EMC picking up the pace.
I'm John Furrier at SiliconAngle.com. It's Dave Vellante with Wikibon.org, the premier research firm. Let's go back and take a look at some of the footage from the EMC Megalaunch event. We were in New York City and in London. Let's go back and take a look at some of that footage. Dave, it's been a great trip.
John, it's always a pleasure being on the road with you. Second time that we've been in Europe with the SiliconANGLE team and the great innovation that you guys are bringing. Thanks for having me along.
We're really excited. It was a great trip. We're heading back, and we're signing off from London. Hope you enjoyed some of the footage. It's all on demand at siliconangle.com and siliconangle.tv. For research and perspective, Dave's site, wikibon.org. All the information's there. We go deep, and all the coverage is there.